Okay, so the other day I was thinking about the Pilgrims and how they came over to Plymouth Rock and all that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, why didn't they just go to Florida? I mean, it was basically the same distance for them. It would have been a little bit longer, but it's warm there and they would have had a much easier time surviving. And then I realized that actually they did try to go to Florida and it didn't work out so well. See, the thing is that when the Pilgrims were looking for a place to settle, they wanted to be north of the Mason-Dixon line. Why? Because they didn't want to be a part of the Spanish Empire. They were, many of them, fleeing religious persecution in England, and they wanted to escape to a land where they could worship freely. They also didn't want to get involved in the slave trade. And at that time in the early 1600s, the northern colonies were not really into slavery yet. The southern colonies, where Florida would have been, were definitely leaning towards it, and so they wanted to get away from that. Also, the climate in New England was pretty similar to the climate that they knew in England. So it was a little bit more familiar to them. They had a much easier time adjusting to the cold than they would have had in Florida. Also, there's a lot more wood in New England. And this is important because the Pilgrims, when they got to Plymouth, actually built their first houses out of wood that they got from shipwrecks. They used the wood from those shipwrecks to build their homes. And also they used that wood to build a sawmill. And then once they had the sawmill, they were able to cut down trees and make more wood to build more houses. Lastly, the Pilgrims probably didn't go to Florida because there were already people living there. When the Spanish began exploring and conquering Florida, they encountered many Native American tribes, and they often enslaved them. And the Pilgrims didn't want to be a part of that. So anyway, those are the reasons why the Pilgrims didn't go to Florida. I hope that answered your question. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Thanks for watching.